Hi guys, I'm the Impaired Grappler. Welcome to my podcast. Today's guest is a good friend of mine, Professor Dave Krstic, third degree black belt from Gracie Jiu-Jitsu Templeso. He's under Professor Pedro Sauer as well. This is another Rollcast where we discuss his views on ego. He talks about finding his fun again. We also discuss how I roll using what I have. His beginnings under John Will, reasons for starting jiu-jitsu as bullying, and we also talk about the importance of philosophy in martial arts. Dave touches on his views about nutrition and diets and the Gracie Diet. We also talk about the emotional attachment to food and growing up in a family where to keep the peace you have to eat. So we also touch on hunting and how he learns more about awareness and energy management from that, from bow hunting, and also learning from teaching how taking your own advice is the biggest lesson he's learnt. So he's also part of the Gracie Academy. So he does the Gracie Combatives and the Bully Proof and the Women Empowerment and all those programs. So check out his website for all those details. And if you're ever in the area, check out his gym. He's a high level. He's got a high level of knowledge and is a high level instructor. So I'd highly recommend going and checking out his gym. So I hope you guys enjoy this Rollcast, and we'll catch you on the other side. Us. Hi there, I'm the Impaired Grappler. Welcome to my podcast. Today's guest is Professor third degree black belt Dave Krstic from Team Pedro Sauer Gracie Jiu-Jitsu Templeso.
How's it going, guys?
How are you?
Man,
welcome.
Lovely to be here, and it's an honor to get to roll with the Impaired.
The Impaired.
Right, that's it.
Yeah, that's
legit.
It.
There it is.
And like those that can't tell, this guy's a giant. What are you about? You're nearly 7 foot tall.
Not that big.
Yeah.
Not that big.
6'8" or something.
6 foot. 6'5" and a bit.
6'5" and a bit.
6'5" and a bit.
To me, it may as well be 7 foot. with how tall I am. But
hey, us tall guys, man, we get it too. All you little fast guys, it's not so easy for us.
Yeah, we find the way to get in there. And
exactly, everyone finds their way, which is what you do.
You're not trying to kill us, so it's okay. If you're trying to smash our heads, it's a different story. We might be going Game of Thrones style, but
Well, if Oberyn Martell understood position, he had a guard, he would have won.
Yeah.
He had the arm lock right there.
Yeah,
he didn't take it.
But, he was a bit
terrible.
Yeah, he was overzealous. It's like that meme of that kill shot. It's like
that's it. He had it, but too emotional.
Too emotional.
Too emotional.
Now we got the White Walker.
Now we got problems.
Guard. Anyway, all right, we'll stop talking TV right now. Otherwise we'll be here all day.
Yes, we could be.
But Dave and I rolled earlier just now, and
great roll.
Pretty good roll for like 10 minutes or 15 minutes or so. So we're gonna play that roll and have a chat, and
100%.
So
here we go.
I'll turn the volume down. So
right, we'll kill that.
The microphone.
Nice.
So we start standing.
Start standing here, and what I noticed right away is how you use your legs. You like I was saying before, such a beautifully adapted, jiu-jitsu. You're really making jiu-jitsu yours, which I just think that's awesome. Really concentrating on what you have rather than what you don't have.
Yeah,
and that's a really great way to look at things.
And this was just a beautiful, as soon as you opened me up there, I was like, what the hell? Then I could just sense it coming. I'm like, how far away is this guy? Then I get lifted up, and it's like, I'm going for a ride.
The spider legs, guys. It certainly helps. It's an advantage, and once again, I use what I have, just like you use what you have.
That was perfectly executed and gentle, if I must say. Helicopter armbar. I could have gone flying there, but that was a very...
Well, it's always a nice thing to be, regardless of size disparity or whatever. Coming from an era, starting in 1995, coming from that era, it was very much a situation where it was you bring your A game, or you're not going to make it. And, I shudder to think how many good people that are no longer training because of that. But, there's no need to be rough. There's no need to be harsh. You look after your training partners. I mean, even if it was a purely selfish thing, it was like totally self-interest. If you don't have training partners, you can't get better.
That's right. And you can always inject that rough stuff when you need to. So you don't need to do it every day,
No. And really, I think it takes the roughness takes a bit of the fun. Like here, we're being pretty chill. We're being pretty playful. Of course, it could be a situation where it's everyone's protecting their belt, they're protecting their grade.
Yeah.
And, it's got to work out like this because, I'm a black belt and all this sort of stuff. But where's the fun? You can take a lot of the fun out of it and the learning.
That's all the ego, and the ego is the enemy.
The funny thing about ego, though, isn't it? Right? We've all heard it. We've all heard the Jiu-Jitsu is an ego killer. I don't necessarily think that's true. I think if you're in an environment where it is pretty competitive, your ego will get beaten down for a time.
Yeah.
And then...
Until you get to the point where you're smashing everyone in your gym.
Right.
And then it's like, I'm the big boss.
Until you learn enough to change the narrative of that story. And then your ego comes back bigger and better and
or you could open up your own school and have just have your students, and then they can deify you, like maybe in some of other traditional martial arts, and then you buy into your own stuff, and then all of a sudden you think that you've got,
and then what happens?
You're throwing people with chi through the windows.
And then what happens? You actually have less confidence than when you didn't have all of that.
Yeah.
I think the more you train, you build on the confidence you have in your ability. And as we can see here, you got such great confidence in your defense. And you're cool with all this. It's and that's what martial arts should really do for us. But
and then I think that triangle you locked up that was straight on tight. It's like I could sense the entire time. I could see it coming, feel it happening. And then, tap. It's like I couldn't stop it. I couldn't.
Well, but here's the reason I did that was, I could have been I've got to get this arm because, I'm Dave or whatever. But, why not do something a little different? Why not explore what's going on here? I might not have gotten the chance to really feel that defense as much had I just been all about
exactly.
And it was just a fun thing to experience because, the confidence in that defense, it's a nice way to have that happen. And
you came for the leg lock, and I'm like, no, straight away, wrap my leg. But
you're right onto that.
Yeah, I was like, no. But then I think you got it here, a heel hook in the end.
I think that was a little later on.
Maybe a little later.
Having I think people sort of operate a little bit in stereotypes on the mat as well, I guess, and I think a lot of the reason why people go after others sort of pretty hard is because the stereotype of that person dictates that this dude's going to smash me, or this guy's going to be on top and he's going to kill me, or this guy's going to have, he's going to be all about triangles or whatever. And, once again, you're protecting the belt, protecting the rep.
Protecting your reputation for sure.
And not really enjoying what Jiu-Jitsu has to offer. Yeah. Which is why we all started anyway,
Well, that's why I like keeping it playful, rolling gently. It goes a long way. It helps. Like, you don't have to roll. Like, if you roll like that just half the time, like, you're still getting the benefit from it.
Absolutely.
You can have your hard rolls, but you don't have to have them all hard rolls.
Agreed, definitely.
Because if you're going to learn and sharpen the technique, and and then you can all come up together, as like Pedro Sauer always says, all come up with the tide.
But that's exactly right. And I think of it in terms of, exploration, implementation, and then diagnostics. So, if you had a spectrum of, okay, keeping it real, so it's all about I give nothing, I take everything, and everyone's doing that, right? That's a very real indicator of what made it into your DNA. What can you rely on? Bam, bam, bam. And what is there? How fast and well-tuned are those reflexes and reactions and those techniques? How sharp are they? How much has made it there? Are you thinking about it before it happens? Because in that situation, you can't really afford to. It's just going to come out of you. So then you've got the other end of it. If you only did that, then you'd only do what you're good at. So then you've got to go to the other end. And you got the middle of the road there where you can have a little chance to explore, a little chance to play, and implement some things and sort of have them go wrong. And then you've got the super playful, putting yourself where you really don't want to be, good and bad. Yeah. And just sort of seeing how that goes. And that end of the spectrum, so from really playful to sort of middle of the road, is you accruing knowledge, accruing technique, accruing feel, and then you play with it for long enough, and then once a week or however many times you're doing it, you keep it really real, and then you find out what made it and what didn't. And then, okay, now I got caught here, so now I'm going to be playful. I'm going to put myself here, and then we're going to work it out. Yeah, and then you know what's going to work in a harder role. Exactly. But you got to add too. Like how many times have we all, and we've all done this? We've put things in the too hard basket. We tried it in a very competitive way, and it didn't work. Well, lo and behold, of course, because everyone was in the same class with you, and they know what was coming. Exactly. And then you summon the courage to give it a try. And then they stop it, not because of a great counter, just because they knew it was coming. And it's always funny. Then you miss out on the benefit. Yeah, when you roll, you feel the technique of the night just come on. It's like, okay. So you already know. So you're like already have defended it, but it's like, okay. Let's see if he does this right. And if they don't do it right, maybe we just keep it playful, Exactly. And here, once again, we're looking at that playfulness, and just with that little arm lock there, was there really any need to make you tap? No, that's not necessary. And you let go before the tap. I was ready to tap, and that's part of the keep it playful. It's like, I was just going to tap you, bro, but I nearly had it, but I was going to get out, but you let it go. I could have tapped, but but that's the thing too. I mean, we all have little niggles here and there. Some of us more than others. I mean, if you're going to look after yourself, defense of self-defense is all about teing a little smarter like that. And I mean, how much skill does it take? There you go. The basic teeter-totter. Keep it simple. That's it. Keep it simple. How much skill does it take to crank on something? It doesn't. So, but had you spoken to me 10, 12 years ago, the response would have probably been a little different. I think within Jiu-Jitsu, we reinvent ourselves just like we do in life, personally, professionally. And, the chance and the permission to do that, I think, comes very easily on the mat. As you learn, you evolve, you change, your outlook changes, and the people you hang out with, the community that you hang out with, a positive community. There's that foot lock you were talking about. I was looking to go for the toe hold. I caught your foot there, and then it was like, okay, no, you got me. And once again, and then you just held it there and see what I was going to do. So I was just trying to see what I could do in that position. But eventually you just you got it in the end. As soon as I tried to move, well, that's about the control, though. I mean, how often do you just control the position without squeezing? Without using muscle. With that, just finishing it, just controlling that little piece. Like how, sitting in an arm lock for 10 seconds, 15 seconds or whatever. 15 seconds is a long time. Yeah. So if you can control it for that long, I mean, how long would it have taken to rip it off? I mean... And it's also what's going through their minds at that time. 15 seconds of, Well, also, you're going to get a chance to see, if they're going to unwind it and reverse engineer it and get out of there, you're going to get a chance to see that. Yeah. Well, sometimes you can get the best defense from actually learning the offense. Like,
to
Definitely.
like, you know, master one offensive technique, and then it's like, okay, well, when you're on the bottom, what do I need to tap myself? You know,
Right.
If I, you know, if the roles were reversed.
How many times have you run into, like, you know, say for example, triangle? You know, you've got a triangle specialist. You know, a guy who's, you know, he's a gun triangle guy, and the first thing I look for is, well, not just can he do it really well, because that's usually where people start, but how well can he defend it? How well does he understand it? This was cool right here.
Yeah.
You, as I got up, this cool little turn, and then you ended up catching my neck with that little grip there, and you used your feet here. Look at that, that's so cool, right? Use your feet here, and I love that little tangle up there. That's really nice.
It's my impaired guard.
Man, whatever you call it, it's good, because here's the thing. The only thing that really, I think, sort of saves me here is the fact that I was able to cross the river, like we were talking about before. I'm on this side. And of course, I had to respect that. So even though it was one-handed, I still had to respect it. And my hand was still a little bit stuck, so I just sort of kept it loose. And now I realized that, okay, if I go a little bit forward, I can sort of slide my elbow just little, and I finally get it out. And then, you know, save myself from that. But I think you're really onto something there. And, you know, once again, that's a beautiful control right there.
Well, I saw someone in the UFC do it. I posted it on my Instagram a while ago.
Yeah.
Like in that sort of, just in that control position for a second. But yeah.
And yeah, exactly. You know, just and using what you have. And I reckon that, you know, you can stop people crossing the border on that. You're going to get a lot of one-handed guillotines, man. It's going to be pretty cool.
Well, because like that's a rule that I've broken.
Right.
Jiu-Jitsu rule.
Yeah.
When you're under side control, always control the hip to stop the mount. But if I can control that arm, how's he going to mount me if his arm's out like that?
Well, you can try.
You know, so, well,
You can try. He may or may not make it, but certainly anyone that is aware of what's going on is probably going to err on the side of caution at that point.
Yeah.
And like I said, you know, beautifully adapted. And
there was no defending that one. I was straight on. That was good. Americana.
That was a beautiful roll. I really enjoyed that fun. I think a lot of people do lose their fun. I know I lost my fun. You know, a few times during my career. You know, when we tend to take things a little seriously, and you know, sometimes all it takes is find your fun.
Yeah, that's
find your fun. You know, it's what's not to like. You're in a great community with people that are, you know, by and large, like in the entire jiu-jitsu community, wherever people seek themselves, you know, okay, their sport, their street, or whatever. I don't really buy too much into that. It's more, okay, good jiu-jitsu is good jiu-jitsu. Let's all enjoy it. But you know, once again, that's a reinvention. It's a reintroduction of ourselves to jiu-jitsu, and I think doing that and maintaining the fun will give you a long career, you know. And you found that fun, concentrating on what you have rather than what you don't. And yeah, it's a beautiful thing to see. Yeah,
well, I've had to keep the balance. It's like at the moment, like unless I get onto a fitness regime and like really get into competition mode, like at the moment, 3 times a week is how many times I can roll and maintain staying on the mat. If I go 4 or 5 times a week, then like maybe the next week or like the next couple of weeks I'll be feeling sore or run down or sick, but like 3 times a week, that was sort of my balance that I've found for me.
And where was it ever written down that, you know, the rules state that you have to train 6 times a week, 2 times a day?
And there's, you know, like you come, like even when if I come back after months, like through my injuries, come back after months, or if you travel and then you come back, it's like it's like you haven't lost anything. You get to a point in because you're just thinking about it and obsessing over it, and like.
Well, I think it gives you a chance to recharge. I think if there was one thing I could sort of go back and be a little bit more mindful of, would be, I mean, I think about all my friends that I had that didn't do jiu-jitsu, and because I was completely obsessed, and you know, speak to anyone that knows me, you probably still say I am still. we tend to leave those friendships behind. The friendships that aren't sort of necessarily entwined with our obsession tend to get left by the wayside, which is a shame. I think having a balance is beneficial, and just trying to reconnect with people that are outside that sphere. I mean, the thing that sort of led me to that was, how many times you're speaking to jiu-jitsu guys, jiu-jitsu's going sick, jiu-jitsu's everywhere. Well, it's like, yeah, you're seeing it because you're involved in it, but the majority of the world still doesn't really know.
The first time you hear about a Tesla or a car or something, it's like you start seeing them everywhere.
Right, or you buy the car of that color and you see that color everywhere.
Yeah, when I bought a Skyline, every second car I saw was a Skyline. It's like, man, what's going on?
It's like I thought I was original here for a second, But that's the thing, and there's so much more. I mean, don't get me wrong, jiu-jitsu has afforded me a lot of great opportunities and a lot of things that I'm very grateful for every day. But it can't be obsessive to a point where it's unhealthy. And that's where you start losing your fun a little bit. And having a family, of people. And I say family, I mean we have sort of different families. We've got our jiu-jitsu family, we've got our actual family. And we've got, our actual family probably puts up with our obsessions about jiu-jitsu more than anyone really should. I know my family does. But that's why it sort of makes us unique, and they accept us for that. But I mean, what if you had more? What if you had more people? It's like, you don't necessarily have to be part of that world to be connected to that person. I think jiu-jitsu is a great connector, but I think with that balance, it can be even greater still. It's not a situation where it's sort of all or nothing, and it's you're either part of this world or you're not.
Yeah.
It's let's use jiu-jitsu to just connect.
So what got you into it? Like you started in the 90s. Were you in high school?
My first lesson I was 15. 15,
okay. And that was in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu?
Yes. I did my first lesson with a couple of guys that were in the special operations group at the time. And John Will, the first guy to get his black belt in Jiu-Jitsu in Australia, they were training under him. And he was my first instructor for many years, and very grateful for the start that he gave me. Super
so he's the one that gave you a black belt, yeah?
Yes. So I got my black belt in 9 years.
Okay.
At the time, I was only 26. So I mean, 26 now is like you're an old man, but at the time I think, and I'm happy to be corrected, but I think I was actually the youngest guy to get a black belt in Australia at that time.
Okay.
Which was sort of pretty interesting. But I didn't really start training seriously until I was 17. So I count my time from not my first lesson, but when I was in it regularly.
And you used to go down to Geelong, didn't you, or something?
Yeah.
Is that the story?
Well,
so I reckon if you and I were in high school together, which you were in high school with my first cousin, so we're in the same year level but just different schools.
Yeah.
I reckon I probably would have.
We would have seen each other around the trash,
we would have been friends with each other. I probably would have come down with you because I did my first Japanese jiu-jitsu because I saw the UFC in 90.
As we all did.
In the late 90s, 96, 97, around then. I can't remember exactly. It was just after end of high school, start of uni.
Well, I sort of got a little bit of a heads up as to what was coming because these same guys they were friends with my dad. My dad was a firearms and defensive tactics instructor in the Victoria Police for a long time, and these guys would come over and we'd always chat martial arts. I knew I was into it because I was into martial arts since I was a little kid. Yeah. And just growing up in my house, it was like keep your punches straight, chin down, let's go. These guys were, if you're into martial arts, check this out. And I saw Gracie's in Action 1 and 2, and there was some, grainy, VHS tapes, copies of copies. I think I wore them out completely before I gave them back to the guys that sort of lent them to me. And I guess they really didn't realize how far ahead of the curve they really were. And I got introduced that way. And then UFC. So then, we all saw Hoist do his thing, and it was great years later to be able to meet him and train with him and all that sort of thing. And so that's what sort of got me started. But really, I think the biggest thing that got me started in martial arts, taking it very seriously, was I used to get bullied a lot. Now you might, you already said, you're a big dude, it's like,
well, that's what I want to actually, ask you about bullying as well, 'cause like, especially with you doing the bully proof now too. But
definitely.
So I could have seen we all got bullied in high school, and we bullied and got bullied. It was part of that,
It was almost a rite of passage, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. And it's like, I could see like someone with your, like even though you were taller, like back as a kid, like just like me, I could see you probably could have got bullied, and that's probably why you got into martial arts, as the story generally is. So I actually want you to touch on that as
Absolutely. Well, here's the thing, and bullying, it was one of those things. It was like you said, it was sort of like, it was sort of just the way it was done. We all sort of had to put up with it, and we took our lumps physically and mentally. And the thing is, big, I was, I got picked on. I was pretty chubby and all that sort of stuff, and I got picked on a bit. And it got worse and worse. And it got to a point where it didn't really matter how physically big I was. It was more just when you're mentally whipped. When you're mentally, they've got you mentally, you're an inch tall. And it doesn't matter what physical capabilities you may have. You don't even have the confidence to use them. Which is, I think, really confidence is the commodity that we trade in. And just like any commodity, it can be stolen. It can be accrued, it can be replaced. And what's the easiest way to replace that commodity if it's stolen from you? Well, you find someone that you can steal it from and take theirs. So hence bullies create bullies, and the cycle continues.
They feed on the negative energy.
Definitely. And that's the funny thing. It's like, he's surrounded in a competitive martial arts environment, as we all came up to. It does create bullies. And what happens when that formerly bullied kid becomes a bully and accrues more ability? What do? They get worse. They don't get better, they get worse. And really, where does that come from? Well, the world will be right with you if you can whoop everybody. And it's been a long, I know for me personally, it's been a long road, but at the same time, building that confidence slowly but surely is the antidote. And of course, the longer that problem was there, the longer it takes to fix it.
Yes.
So the thing that I love about Bully Proof, and both my kids train, and we train, well, we've got nearly 100 kids here. They train. So, it's great just to see and just to hear the stories, to see how much confidence they have, to hear the stories about how much confidence they've built. And, you get the odd story, well, my kid was picked on and they stood their ground for the first time today. And that's huge, because if we can catch it now, then that road, that cycle, we've all run into people in the workplace as adults that use their little modicum of power to bully others. And they call it management. It's really not.
You see it at like a lot of places. But well, that's why the traditional martial arts always had the philosophy behind it. Whereas you don't get that a lot these days with sort of mixed martial arts gyms and that. 'Cause it's all about just the.
I think the term mixed martial arts is very misleading.
The term martial arts is misleading.
Right. Well, mixed martial arts is, what is it? It's a form of competition. It is not a martial art unto itself, but as we've seen, it's being advertised as such. I do mixed martial arts as a style, and that being the case, it is misleading, because there is no philosophy. It's about the athlete. And we've all seen how athletes behave. Certain athletes are great people. Others do not exactly cover themselves in glory. We've got some amazing athletes in the UFC that have,
their faults are...
checkered histories. But, we would like to think that, and this is where I like to sort of draw a distinction, I think, and Jiu-Jitsu is at a precarious stage. I think we do need that element of a little bit more responsibility for how we conduct ourselves in public. And once again, every day is an opportunity to reinvent and reintroduce ourselves to the public. And, you know, and of course, you know, people are going to be drawn to different things. So they want to get out there and strip to the waist, covered in tattoos, and beat each other up. Go ahead.
If it's done properly, I feel Jiu-Jitsu teaches that ego smashing. That does work, but like it's got to be taught and practiced properly from a, you know, it's whatever point of view you're looking at it, whatever lens you're looking at.
I completely agree with you. I think it's not even really smashing the ego. I think it's recalibrating it.
Well, ego is an emotion. It's a tool. Just because it's a tool doesn't mean you throw it out. Just because it's a negative tool, you might need your ego at one stage. Well, so it's like, when do you need your ego? If you can control it.
Yeah, if you were to gear your ego, so let's say you were to shift gears and say, you know, going from the ego of, well, I have to beat my training partner every session, to I want every person that trains with me to have the most fun ever and tell everybody, right?
Or to suffer, or to whatever you love.
Right. So, I mean, if you recalibrated your ego into being the ultimate training partner that everyone wants to train with, how is that not positive?
Yeah.
You know, exactly. that's a great. You know, once again, you can have a massive ego, but it's not out of control. It's calibrated in such a way it's very positive.
That's it.
And it's not even necessarily you got to beat it out of somebody. You know, it's something that's like, you know, that comes from the top. And, you know, you train in an amazing school under Phil there, and he's very gentle with people. You know, he's got a great personality for that, and it shows because everyone there is very friendly. And, you know, the people that I choose to associate with now, I'm no longer looking for the toughest guys. When I was younger, that's who I wanted to train with. I was like, I'm looking for training partners that are very like-minded in terms of, okay, we're here for a long time. Let's make it work for us, and let's learn from that. And, you know, being able to put all that together, safety first. Let's enjoy the art. Let's enjoy each other's company. Let's enjoy the personal challenge that each of us represents. And being able to do that is a very enjoyable experience. So that's you know, that's evident in the school. Everyone's very friendly and welcoming. That's great. And you go to any school of quality, you know, Pedro School in Virginia, the Gracie Academy. You walk in there and it's like, oh wow, I'm at home.
Yeah.
And everyone's so friendly. Everyone's so nice. And it's just a great. Why would you not want to be a part of that? How is that not positive? And everyone, it's, you know, they've recalibrated their ego into saying, you know what, this is how we behave. Yeah, this is how we do things.
We all grow as individuals and as societies and groups as well. You know,
of course, of course. But we can, you know, be the example of what we would like to see and provide for the generations after us.
Although, did you ever get into like watching the Valenti brothers' speeches on Facebook? They used to do it on Periscope as well. Facebook and Periscope.
That's the only reason I had Periscope on my phone.
Yeah, that's right. They're pretty good talks.
And once again, such a great example. The Valenti brothers, you know, very skillful martial artists.
Yes.
And third generation.
And they're very good teachers as well. I've been to their gym.
You've been there?
Yeah,
I want to visit.
Yeah,
I really want to visit. But just seeing all the stuff that they put out and seeing, you know, these guys aren't thugs. They're not, you know, they're absolute gentlemen. You can see that in that authenticity. Yeah. And they're intelligent. They're well-spoken. They're educated.
Yes.
They're very positive. They live very healthy lifestyles, and they lead by example. And, you know, their father was a Grand Master as well. He's rest in peace. Pedro Valencia Sr. Their grandfather trained with Elio Gracie as well. So, you know, they take their legacy, you know, so they shoulder that with reverence and respect, but also very and keep it very practical. And that's why I like their talks, because you know, this is, you know, it's not some crazy ideal that no one else can live up to. It's these little things you can do every day. And of course you're going to have to check yourself, and of course you're going to fall off, but bring it back in and keep perspective.
It's not just jiu-jitsu. It's the same. It's how to learn everything.
Right.
It's like just do one step at a time and just drill it to become a master. You got to do it every day, or you got to do it for 10,000 hours thing or whatever. But you got to learn the techniques and you got to do the techniques and practice and practice and practice.
100% agree. And I mean, how many times have you sort of met people or spoken to people that did jiu-jitsu for a little while and then stopped? Right. And I think really expectations cause frustration, So I think, having healthy and realistic expectations of what we're about, being from the teacher, from the student, to have a healthy expectation. I mean, what can someone reasonably expect? Well, when someone comes into this academy, they can reasonably expect that they're going to be treated with respect. They're going to be taught correctly. They're going to be in an environment where people are going to look after them. It's clean, and you're going to be better for the experience, and that's a reasonable expectation. Safety comes first, and you're going to walk out of that place in as good a shape as you walked in, and you're going to have a positive experience. I think that's a reasonable expectation.
You'll go home happy.
Exactly.
Hopefully.
And how many times I know I've personally fallen short on delivering on that expectation because of my expectations. What do I expect of the student? Really, the only reasonable expectation I can expect of any student is show up and put safety first and enjoy. I think that's a reasonable expectation that, if those things are happening, everything falls into place.
Well, if anyone gets on the mat, you've got to respect them. Anyone that just steps foot.
I mean, if not training is here and white belt is here, where's black belt? Well, black belt's about there. It's not some mystical, insurmountable feat. Black belts are people.
There's a white belt, black belt, and the Hickson's up there somewhere. but
really, what's the difference between the rest of us and say, an amazing exponent like Rickson Gracie? Well, time, dedication, effort. Of course, he was taught by Grandmaster Helio, and all his brothers, and all his experiences contributed to that. But at the same time, that by itself would not necessarily have made Rickson Gracie as we know him today. It's his efforts and his time and his refinements and his thought and his dedication that made all the difference.
And the path he took and all.
Right,
every
exactly.
path he take, every step, every fork in the road, decisions.
The decision that he made to do it made it special. And that's what made it all special. And really, I mean, we're all doing that every day. We're all making decisions. We're all making choices. And to compare paths, I think, would be a little disingenuous to oneself. But at the same time, we're all becoming, where we put our efforts. And when it comes to the mat, if you're training 2 times a week or 5 times a week or 10 times a week or whatever it happens to be, you're doing what you can handle. As long as success is not a destination, it's a compass bearing, it's a direction. It doesn't tell you anything about the obstacles, the decisions, anything like that. But as long as you're heading in that general direction, and it doesn't matter if you're running or walking or crawling or rolling or whatever, it doesn't even matter if you stop. As long as you're headed in the same direction, you're doing well. I think expectation causes a lot of frustration sometimes. So I think, let's check that expectation, make it realistic, make it achievable, and then just do it.
And just do. Yeah, that's right. It's a bit like what Jean-Jacques was saying. No, not why me. What was it? Not why me, try me. And
right.
It's like just do it.
Well, actually, the first seminar I ever went to as a white belt was with Jean-Jacques Machado, and I got a chance to train with him.
Yeah,
and of course,
it's so amazing. Like,
took me to pieces.
Yeah, like the first one I went to was a Hoyler Gracie, and then like you go to Hoyler Gracie, you meet all these people, Hodger Gracie, the Valenti brothers, Hoist Gracie seminars, Hickson Gracie. Like you meet them all, and you go to their seminars, and so
you can't play basketball with Kobe Bryant or Michael Jordan or whomever.
Yeah, the only other sport like I've ever done where you actually on the field at the same time is triathlon.
Right.
You know, and so I came.
And there's
from
not
there,
really a lot of interaction.
And it's not interaction. It's like,
there's a legend running past there.
There's Tony Abbott. Yeah, hi Tony, or F off Tony.
Actually met Tony up here.
Yeah?
Yeah, he was just up the corner here. It was pretty cool. He's actually, he seems like quite a nice guy.
Seems like a nice guy.
I sort of felt bad for him because everyone had these ridiculous questions sort of designed to make themselves look smarter in his eyes. And I just thought, man, why do you even bother answering them? I just said, hey man, what's up? You know.
But we could stay here all day.
We could. So let's not go down that road.
Yes. So rather than politics, let's talk another controversial issue: diet. Like you used to, you were. Tell us about your ventures into the culinary. In terms of like, you used to be vegan.
I was hardcore, man.
A vegan giant. How in the hell did you fuel yourself?
Well, that's probably why I'm not a giant anymore. I actually did my bachelor's of health science in naturopathy eventually, and most of that was actually nutrition. And what I found was, it's actually a really interesting conclusion, was there's a lot of diets, there's a lot of people telling you what you should and shouldn't do. None of the diets really advocate eating garbage. Some of them will be stilted a particular way, so paleo, vegan, whatever. And of course, you got a guinea pig on yourself.
They all say cut sugar, but yeah.
Right, well, yeah. There's certain things that they always say. Yeah. Right, and then they've put their belief system in it. But not one of them, save one, which I'll mention later, not one of them actually has any form of evidence other than anecdotal. The tribes people of the Hunza Valley or whatever live for a long time, and this is what they do. Okay, that's awesome, but there are a lot of other environmental factors that they have that we don't, and we have that they don't. So there's other things at play. The only diet that actually has a visible body of research that actually spans for nearly 100 years is the Gracie Diet. Which, I mean, in terms of hard science, there are things that, don't necessarily hold up under the science of it all. But you got to remember, Carlos Gracie was self-taught. He experimented on his very large family, and what do you have? You've got a lot of people.
And when was that? That was in the 30s?
Before? I think he started it before.
Jeez. Yeah.
Right, so there's a lot of research there.
It has been 100 years.
And he had a great control group. He had all his very extensive extended family and all his students. And what did he have? Even inside his family, he had people that didn't follow it. So you had, people that followed it. He had the people that didn't follow it. They all more or less did the same physical activity, and the difference was the diet. So that was actually really interesting. And on a recent trip to LA, Horion Gracie is actually getting together, the Grandmaster Horion is getting together a scientific study for the Gracie Diet to actually get it up to the scientific standard.
Yeah, there's been a few other diets based on food combining. And so I spent a year under Steve Maxwell, and the diet he had me on, it's kind of a variation of that, but it's actually more the Tilden diet. Yeah. But it's with the food combining. So it's basically I would have one fruit meal a day, one starch meal a day.
Tilden is a hay diet as well.
Yeah. So I'd do the one fruit meal a day, one starch meal a day, one protein meal a day.
Yep.
I lost nearly 10 kilos and I wasn't fat. But it's like that was just the excess body fat, and it's just like, and I was loving that diet. I would look forward to my fruit meal a day. It's like a plate of fruit. Oh mate, it's awesome. But then it's like, okay, you can then. It's a bit hard to control when you go out because they just mix everything together. But there's a few diets that do the food combining now, and the fasting as well.
I think fasting's a big thing. Considering, not to get on the paleo topic too much, because I mean, if it was really true paleo, we'd be eating bugs and stuff. Which, I don't see a lot of people in Australia doing that.
Look, in terms of you shouldn't conflate the term paleo with actual Paleolithic man.
You're right.
It's a diet.
It's a bit spurious.
Yes.
But
and other big words like that. How many more big words can we add?
$10 words, man. $10 words. That's what it's all about. But I think fasting, I mean, really, we weren't actually designed to eat every day. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We weren't designed for it. But what do we have? We have plenty. Man, we're all good. And, think about all the diseases that we have now that did not exist even as early as 100 years ago because of excess. And once again, Carlos Gracie, Senior, the founder of the Gracie Diet, was very much, fast. And when you look at, certain religious practices around the world, I think in every sort of major religion, there's a time when you fast. Yeah, and I think that was a cultural thing.
When we used to do that, it's like you'd feel better. It's like, I have to eat this crap, but it's like, you feel better. It was fast, be like vegan for a week.
Right. There were certain things that you would certainly cut down on, and other certain things would be like, some would be a little bit more hardcore than others, but the whole concept is still there. So I think there's a lot to that. And really, I think probably the one thing with diet that I think people really do get bent out of shape about is that the fact that they don't stay on track, they get really neurotic about it to a point when they eventually do fall off track, and it's inevitable. Yeah. They don't get back on track. Well, and then, I've got to start a diet again.
That was the biggest lesson I learned from Maxwell, and I've reconciled my own what's it called? Affiliation with food, my own emotional, because it's like, you have an emotional connection to food,
right?
And it's and like when you're upset and you have the food that actually makes you feel good. If you are on a diet, and this is what Maxwell was saying, like if you're sitting in a restaurant and a person's smoking in your face, worrying about the person smoking is pretty much almost as bad as the actual smoking in your face, because you're causing all the cortisol levels to rise. You're getting all angry.
Well, Steve's a very interesting cat.
He's very interesting.
He's a cool guy. Just hanging out with him for a day was very interesting.
Yeah. Hung out with him a fair bit.
I like Steve. He has that. We were just talking about, life and childhood and all that sort of stuff. And,
you could just extract the lessons from his life, but it's like, okay, that's a bit extreme.
He's in terms of, and like anyone that's, it's a thinker, they're going to have some ideas that are like, okay, that's sort of pretty rad, but, you don't have to take all of it either. Yeah. Put it through your own.
Well, like what I took out of that was, okay, if I'm on the diet, and you go strict, fully on the diet, fully strict, not one thing out of place, and then because it's like you go to your family, growing up with a WOG family, it's like, you can't leave your parents without eating, and like all the aunties and uncles.
Fat chance that's going to happen.
You got all these weddings and all these places to go to, and it's like, all right.
You show
occasionally,
but don't eat. This is a problem.
Yeah, like to keep the peace, you have to eat. So it's like, all right. So you're trying to keep the peace, you eat, and then you feel guilty about it, and then it's like, I'm not on my... I stuffed up there.
Off track.
I fallen off track, and then the diet's
and then everything
gone.
You've done, you sort of discount. You go, it's all ruined now.
But I'd rather think, okay, well, I stuffed up, but it's not a stuff up. I enjoyed it. I needed to have that good feeling, and I actually got the good benefits. If I'm sitting there worrying all day, stressing
you're stressed out, and that's...
Well, what's that doing? What's that doing to your body? The cortisol, the anxiety and stress
is wrecking you more than what the food did.
And the more you can stop that in life, like the better it is. I've stopped that as much as I can. And it's hard. I've given up footy because of that. The anxiety and the stress. It's like, oh my god.
Well, man, I'm anyone that's known me for a significant amount of time would be able to tell you that I can be pretty intense. It's very serious and. learning learning how to not be so serious all the time. Not everything is critical, not everything is so important. And once again, my journey as a teacher of jiu-jitsu has really helped me with that. And believe me, it took a while for me to get there. So and still I still have my moments, nobody's perfect, but realizing that it's okay to fall off track. Just get back on. Your ability to get back on track is what really determines
the fact that you were on track for that long. It's amazing.
It's good.
Wow, you were on track for that long.
Come back.
Oh, well, that's all right. You stumbled. That doesn't matter. Get back.
With reference to diet, though, I think you can be really hardcore about it, but it has a shelf life. It's what you do most of the time that really counts. And stick to it. And quite frankly, I think a lot of these diets that have a theme to them, they're almost impossible to follow to the letter forever. Just out of being a human being.
So you're on any sort of diet at the moment, or you just sort of similar concepts?
The diet I'm on at the moment is my wife, whom I did meet doing that bachelor's degree, keeps me very much on track. And we enjoy our coffee and all that sort of stuff, as any Melburnian would.
Yes. You can't not enjoy coffee in Melbourne.
Oh, right. If you can't find a good cup of coffee, you're not in Melbourne.
You're not on Earth. You're not in Melbourne.
But, we maintain a very healthy lifestyle. There's certain things that I don't do. Obviously, I don't smoke, I don't drink or do anything like that. And that's, that's pretty much it. It's more about sort of keep the calm and enjoy.
Well, you got into hunting as well.
Oh
so
definitely. I love that. Just
you're doing bow hunting or just I was actually considering trying to do that as just archery as a form of therapy. Maybe if I could figure
out how to do it, you could do it. There's a lot of different ways to do it.
As a form of therapy to get stronger, and then also be able to functionally do something.
There's a lot of really cool releases and stuff that they make now and all that sort of thing, and modern compound bows and everything are sort of easy to draw and everything. But I think really the big thing about the hunting is not like people focus on hunting, I think, and they focus on the killing. It's like, well, okay,
that's the end.
Right, but it's not the end. There's more to it after that, because you take the meat. You got to drag it out of there. You got to butcher it. You got to preserve that meat so it's fit for consumption.
So it's like you're saying the hunt lasts for a year until it's like fully consumed and everything, and then it just stays. But then it actually stays in you. The memory stays in you forever. So the hunt never finishes.
But life feeds on life. I mean, if you could be the most hardcore angry vegan in the world, and not to stereotype angry vegans, but there do seem to be a lot of them out there. But here's the thing. Who's
standing up for the life of the plants?
We could go on forever like that, right? But I think really the big thing is like just being up in the hills and I don't get up there enough. I'd love to do more. My dad and my brother are making me jealous all the time. They're always up there. I grew up in a hunting family, of course. But I think the connection that I'm building with it, I won't say I've built because it's an ongoing thing. But I'm pursuing a creature that has a brain the size of a mandarin that can consistently outsmart me. And what's my brain size has nothing to do with it. It's awareness. It's being aware completely of your surroundings. And they could be standing 10 feet away from me. I might not even know they're there, but they know I'm there. And they don't even move.
They're doing their own jiu-jitsu. They're masters of their own environment.
Their defensive capability is ridiculous. And then you've got energy management. Now, you're trumping up and down hills all day. You better manage your energy because, and this is a cool thing, the mountain, the hills, they can break you by doing nothing. Just by being there.
I remember hiking.
They break you by doing nothing. So it's like just being there is a power, unbelievable stuff. And just being around that and gaining an appreciation for how difficult it really is. I like to do things that sort of teach me about myself. And what I've learned about myself is I have a lot to learn.
Yeah.
Same as jiu-jitsu, same as out on, behind the bow, you can't blame the target.
Yeah.
When you miss, and you will miss. I've missed plenty.
Yeah, fair enough. So I'll just ask one final question, like with regards to learning, and like has like teaching helped you learn and learning helped you teach, and does that make sense? But yeah,
yes, it does.
Yes, okay.
It absolutely does. I think a teacher has to be the most avid student on the mat, And we've all met teachers that are a bit nonplussed, not just in jiu-jitsu, but, everywhere. You show up to uni and the lecturer shows up, I'm like, I can't do that.
Monotone. I used to hate the monotone lecturers. Today in chemistry.
And they just don't care, right? They just deliver, I get paid as done, right? And to me, it's not really a teacher. To have that enthusiasm, to build that enthusiasm happens on a daily basis for me. And does teaching help me learn? Definitely. Because just taking your own advice goes a long way.
Well, if you just shut up and take your own advice for once, and like just stop, look at what you're doing wrong, and take your own advice, mate, you'd be a way better person.
Right.
No, not you, but like everyone.
But everybody.
We all would be.
We all would be. Just take your own advice. Not to mention the amount of depth of knowledge that you have to be a competent teacher, to be a teacher that can keep their promise to their student, demands that you be a great student. Demands that you enjoy learning as much as you enjoy passing it on, and vice versa. And becoming a better teacher has been an interesting journey for me. And I think coming back to finding that fun and having realistic expectations of myself and of others goes a really long way toward that. And having that passion, that enthusiasm for learning, and thereby becoming a better student, thereby becoming a better teacher, where it just feeds. It's just a cycle, and it just keeps going. So I think it's vital. I think any student, even if their capacity as a teacher is limited to simply helping their partner, they're still teaching, and they're learning more by doing that. I don't think you can have a moment as you can go your whole life as a student without teaching somebody something. Yeah. So I think they go hand in hand, definitely. Okay.
Yeah, and then so you got the Gracie combatives and all that now, so
100%. Yeah.
Do you want to tell the audience about where they can find all that? I'll put your links to your website. And,
cool. Yeah, excellent. So
here in Templestowe.
Gracie-jiu-jitsu.com.au, Gracie Jiu-Jitsu Templestowe. We just recently added Women Empowered. We're going to have a big kickoff seminar October 1st. We've got Bullyproof, we've got Combatives, we've got Master Cycle, and of course, we've got along with the amazing programs from the Gracie Academy, we also have the Pedro Sauer lineage, and we're very proud to be able to represent both. So, we're in a very privileged position to be able to do that. And of course, everyone out here, you're always welcome. Come down and benefit,
Yeah, just like I did.
Come down and hang out, There's nothing better than hanging out with good friends and spending good time on the mat. So, don't be a stranger. Come down. Check us out on Facebook, Insta. Yeah, all that sort of stuff.
I'll put all the links up on the description and all that.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
All right, no worries. Thanks a lot for that.
Sav, thank you so much, man.
That's a podcast done.
Yeah, bingo.
Let's hope all the cameras work. But yeah, all right.
Awesome. Thanks,
everyone, and we'll catch you guys next time.
Cool. Cheers.
Alrighty, guys, I hope you enjoyed that Rollcast with Professor Dave Krstic. Yeah, I know I enjoyed doing it, and it was a great role and a good chat. So it was a bit longer than normal, and I'm hoping to do a lot more longer ones like that as well in the future. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and yeah, be sure to check out my brand new blog I started pretty much this week. So links will be in the description below. So yeah, so check out that. Follow me on my social media, like, subscribe, and share, and we'll catch you next time.